Morning guys, I just wanted to explain how the Graph REST API works with the C# SDK. I was struggling for a while and I wanted to just share this. So what I've done, I've got the Graph API installed as a dependency, so Graph Services Client. And what I've also got is I've configured it and auto inserted auth token in main program.js. So what I've done is first I've set up a confidential with these configs, and then I created a scoped a graph service client, and I've taken from the confidential to get the authorization token to then create a new service client. I've created this kind of provider here that wraps up the authenticator provider, which then kind of adds in the authorization bearer token so that you can submit your graph REST API. You can call upon them. Just to be bearing in mind that I've set it up as a app setting and I've configured all the scopes on the portal of Azure. So all I need is to have one scope, which is the default, and what would happen is you have to pre-authorize an admin consent on each of the scope that you want on the portal rather than on the application. So once you've got this, you've created a service. I then say you want to upload or get a list of all the items in a folder. This is the latest method I've created today. So first thing I've done is go to the Graph API. I then go to drives, files, drives, drive item, and list children. And what I normally do, sometimes they don't have the C# element, I then do is pick up the actual URL request. So I start off with either of these. So you got drives and drive ID. So if we go back to the code, you've got drives, and the way you provide the ID is to use brackets and provide the string for the drive ID. You then add the method for items, so you provide dot items, then you provide your folder item ID, because a list of items, so one of the drive items is a folder as well. So you put that in, provide the item ID, then you call upon the children, then you use get async. But what you also see here is I'm using the query parameters select, so they only provide me this set of information. I don't need to get a lot of information, so it just makes it a lot cleaner when I get the information back. I then list the value, which then is returned to my normal program. That's how I normally do it. Let's give it another try. So let's say I want to delete an item. So I know I need two properties, so the item ID, so for this one you need to actually have the item's ID, not the folder, so it could be an actual file ID. So what we can do is create a new method as task, so all then we'll say delete item. So you provide always the drive ID, which I actually got it up, but it's all wrong anyway. So you first provide the drive ID, and then your item ID, which is your file item. So I'm just going to rename it to file ID, and then you send the delete sync, which is the HTTP here for this one. So there you go, it's the same thing here. So let's just clean it up, and that's it. If you guys are wondering how I just got this, I'm using Copilot, so that's just filling it in for me based on information I've already written in this current document, and it's returning the correct type anyway. So that's how getting to the Graph API's reference, get the HTTP request and follow through with that. And drives are mostly on the SharePoint drive folder. So because I've already got this, so it's a lot easier. You can also use the site ID as well. So I've already identified the drive within the site, so I don't need to do this, but you can also get the item because it's all under the drive item anyway. So that helps. But yeah, so that's awesome to just track how do you change it? Track the workflow from beginning to start. So get the HTTP request, then you just follow through the SDK, and that helps you put it through, because I was struggling to get this across for the first couple of hours, and then I was like, oh, okay, forget this element and forget what Copilot provides you and what the documentation on GitHub has, because they're old SDKs. So follow these ones because those are the correct ones, based on the SDK that is out currently on C#.NET Core. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment, and I'll get back to you with a response.